Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the hopeful elect of Israel. You Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Gotta give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, the Most High, the Heavenly Father. His name is Yahweh in the Hebrew, not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Ahia. It's Yahweh in the Hebrew. His only begotten son name is Yahweh Shai in the Hebrew. Not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christus, not Yeshaya. Okay? It's Yahweh Shai in the Hebrew. So gotta give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rikah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, and a sincere salutation to all the Akim pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. And shalom to the Akwaf who are listening and learning, the few sisters who are listening and learning. I'm Isaiah from the GMS Orlando camp, coming at you another lesson in truth, facts, faith, and edification, another daily edification. Lord's willing, is be edifying. And this is another update on Babylon the Great and the collapse of the economic infrastructure of North America. Lord's willing, this be edifying.
Economic collapse. This is a societal collapse. Are you ready for a cashless?
Hold on, Salaki. Run that back from the beginning.
This is not just an economic collapse. This is a societal collapse. Are you ready for a cashless society and world communism? The purge about to play out in reality. Food shortages will happen when people run out of money. Also, the banking system is wobbling on the verge of collapse. When that happens, credit lines will freeze up, and what is left of the economy will come to a screeching stop everywhere. We are only 9 meals away from anarchy. As extreme wealth inequality has left households unprepared and without a cash buffer to weather the economic downturn. The banks are failing. Don't pay attention to that, look at this virus. And with the Fed and IMF buying all the MBS, who do you think will own all the real estate? 3% of all American restaurants have closed permanently so far. Promised relief failed to materialize in time, while hedge funds got bailed out right away. It's all by design. The shift from cash to digital fiat cashless societies is upon us. Most will be forced to shop online as the outside world becomes deadly. What we are witnessing is the globalist attempt at controlling the world with fear. America is gone, and a new tyrannical system has replaced it. Too bad most Americans are too ignorant to know it. This was a perfect cover to prepare for martial law-style shutdowns across the country. People as they sit in quarantine, as they lose their jobs, their homes, their pensions, their businesses and all this, I think they're waking up at the fact that they're being screwed. This has been what these assholes have been stalling for all along with these BS checks. Trying to stretch people to their absolute limits. We are already there, shit will hit the fan next weekend guaranteed. I bet a whole bunch of people disappear with the virus this week. At this point, what conclusion can you draw? Who in their right minds thought we could go over a month with no income? They are trying to incite the riots and looting. The average person is getting screwed, no other way to put it. Gun sales already hit their highest in history. If the virus doesn't get you, the economic unrest it has caused will. Wait until metro areas melt down, and it's a war zone. Gunshot victims will quickly outnumber C-19 deaths. Get the hell out now if you can. We can't expect the government to fix this. At some point, people got to go back to work. The longer we are at a standstill, the worse things are gonna be going forward. Businesses are closing for good, people are squeezed, and a lot of useless people have been taught they should live like a doctor or lawyer with none of the work. There is a tipping point, and if we reach it, parts of this country will turn into Vietnam, I believe. There are a lot of militias out there. 2/3 of the country is not prepared for this. We are a few weeks out before marauders start going door to door looking for food. America made a huge mistake in rewarding people for doing nothing, feeding their kids, and teaching them to expect the government to take care of them. Wall Street hogs also feed at the dumbed-down public ed trough. They skim off all that criminalized bond money used to construct and maintain multi-million-dollar, Taj Mahal-style admin buildings, sports complexes, and prison-like classrooms. The masses should prepare for worst-case scenarios and not just a recession. You should not be scared of a virus but of your next-door neighbor if he is jobless, broke, and hungry. A hungry man is an angry man. Desperate people do desperate things. The veneer of civilization is pretty thin. The shutdown of the economy was planned for the bankers' transition to cashless, digital totalitarianism. South Korea has their situation under control. Business is open and running. So what's up with that? If you keep your pH at 7+, vitamin D 100+, vitamin C daily, wear a mask when shopping, you have nothing to worry about. These political hacks we elected have screwed up big time. Should be fired. In the winter of 2018, 80,000 Americans died from the flu, but there was no panic, nothing shut down, and not a word from the fake news media. Why? The elites will make this last forever. No matter how obedient the public is, the lockdowns and loss of freedoms are meant to continue indefinitely. The way this has collapsed, rolling out using the virus as cover, seems surreal. The power that be are literally telegraphing what they are doing for anyone paying attention. They want a gigantic crisis to justify their gigantic treason. In 3 weeks, continuing on this trajectory, the world will be on fire. There is too much evidence from the past of the cabal pushing the New World Order supremacy system. Their fake news propaganda is running on all cylinders to distract the sheeple. They want to take away all our rights, and the virus and financial collapse are the perfect covers. What were the odds that just at the toppling list of dead everywhere, there's a financial crash and pandemic? The dollar is going to be worthless any minute. Kiss your money and freedom goodbye. This is a takedown of capitalism to usher in communism worldwide. Welcome back to the Atlantis Report. Please take some time to subscribe to my backup channels. I do upload videos there too. You'll find the links in the description box. You will also find a PayPal link if you want to make a donation. Thank you. The government wants everything digital so they can get a piece of every transaction made. That's the end game, total control of every dollar. Pennies for the working man and boatload of money for billionaires and fat cat corporations. The manipulation of the economy is epic. The best investment you can make is to invest in yourself, food, and security. The National Guard is out here guarding the toilet paper. Because while the rich are stacking gold and silver, the poor are stacking on toilet paper. The commercial paper market for metals should be outlawed. It's just another way to manipulate a market that should stand on its own merits. Paper silver and paper gold have got to go. Gold is God's money. Americans and others need to realize that their current idea of the economy is equated with the Federal Reserve private bank are false and injurious. This monster parasite has wrecked our country and is eating us alive. The dichotomy between supposed sovereign countries being separate but in reality being run by international bankers and their international corporate brothers always seemed untenable. I got my confirmation when The Guardian published the WikiLeaks Podesta email that Obama's entire cabinet was selected by bankers before he was even nominated. California Governor Gavin Newsom said Wednesday that the state had seen 1 million unemployment claims in less than 2 weeks as the pandemic has led to businesses being shut down across the state. Welcome to life in America circa 2020. No weddings. No funerals. No Trump rallies. No Easter services. No churches. No sports. No concerts. No nothing. Close everything but the liquor and gun stores, then make everyone stay inside for 2 months. This is exactly what the globalists are hoping for. An excuse for martial law. This is manufactured panic. If the economy stays shut down, then everyone is broke and the old rules are gone. So why would anyone continue to think that the law still exists? We do not have capitalism anymore. We have survival of the fittest for the lower 90% net worth individuals. While the top 10% net worth gulped down $4.5 trillion of printed Fed cash. And the one congressperson that tried to point this out was pilloried by the mainstream media. The welfare recipients have come out on top and are a lot smarter than I ever gave them credit for. Hardworking folk who have lost their jobs and have no income to look forward to besides that $1,200 magic check are screwed. Welfare recipients, on the other hand, continue to receive all of their benefits without missing a beat. You can give people all sorts of paper, money, but if it doesn't buy anything, it is useless. In the last Great Depression, there were plenty of goods to buy, but no one had any money. In the next Great Depression, everyone will have lots of money, but it won't buy anything. This is exactly what was and is happening in every socialist country around the world. Except for China, which is a globalist socialist experiment. Yes, they will be riot and loot. With no one processing food, we will all be hungry. Not just the inner city. Suburbanites have to eat too. You gotta do what you gotta do. Send the National Guard. People can eat them. Just wait until they turn EBT off. All hell will break loose from sea to shining sea. A pandemic running rife. A medical system on the verge of collapse. A mainstream media driving people into a frenzy of panic. 300 million people. 300 million guns. 30 million unemployed. A myriad of racial, wealth, and cultural divisions. What could possibly go wrong? This country is in the stages of becoming a real powder keg in urban areas. As the country's urban populations go full feral. Venezuela was to show us what was coming. We are led by self-serving half-wits and malignant narcissists, living off the proceeds of an ongoing financial crime spree. Will there be unrest? You betcha. Hell, we are only 1 week into this shelter-in-place deal. Wanna see some real crap storm? Just wait until the delivery drivers refuse traveling into high-risk areas like some inner cities. Scared of the virus, trucks attacked, and millions of hungry people who think there are or will not be repercussions for scavenging out in the suburbs. Where they will then find a well-armed population fed up to their hair follicles with this give me, or I take it attitude. Once the city dwellers get hungry, all bets are off. My advice is to spend at least an hour a day with your significant others, planning for the worst. Calmly. With resolve and determination. Plan for the worst and be pleasantly surprised, not caught between a rock and a hard place. Here's a tip for you: buy an RV or a worthless patch of the desert somewhere. It will be the most valuable thing you ever bought. Don't just sit there waiting for a friend. There's still time to get things rolling towards survival. It's only going to get worse. This was the Atlantis Report. Please like, share.
Hey, toilet paper, food and guns will not save you, man, for what's about to come. Tissue, food, and guns will not save you for what's coming, man.
This is a chart of the 2008 financial crisis. Over the course of 517 days, the stock market dropped by more than 56%. Millions of people lost their jobs, their homes, and their life savings. It was the worst time for the global economy since the Great Depression. Now this is the 2020 economic collapse so far. Over the course of just 21 days, the market has dropped by roughly 20%, the world has seemingly shut down, and we just might be on the worst economic trajectory in history. So how did we get here, and what could we expect going forward? Well, let's start off with the first part. You see, the first thing, as most of you know, is that there is a global illness going around that many people are worried about. And from my previous videos, you might know that my position on this is that if you get the disease, you will almost certainly be fine. But it is disproportionately bad for the elderly and those with underlying health conditions, such as myself. So it's good to be cautious on a social level, but also there isn't a need for you to panic on an individual level. Initially, when the disease had its first outbreak in China, it caused the Chinese government to shut down its manufacturing sector in order to help prevent the spread of the virus. Now, that wouldn't be a problem if 1/3 of all products weren't made in China. You see, China is the global supply chain of the world, so when China experiences delays in production, the entire world's economy experiences delays as well. Now, I made a whole video on this, which you can check out on my channel, but I won't dive into deep detail in this video. video. But anyways, because of the supply chain slowdown, we have seen many large companies experience a slowdown in their sales and revenue. And that makes sense because if you don't have your product to sell, well then you can't make any sales and can't make any money. And here's an example. The car industry is very dependent on tools, die, and machinery in order to manufacture their cars. But each one of these necessities for the car industry is experiencing a 1 to 3 month delay because of the Chinese shutdown of the manufacturing sector. Now this means that car companies will not be able to launch their new annual vehicles on time, therefore missing out on billions of dollars worth of sales. And also because people are being asked to stay inside, they're missing out on some wages, they're trying to be cautious and work from home as possible. Because of those things, we've seen an 80% drop in automotive sales in countries like China. And this effect trickles down. You see, if car companies are seeing a drop in sales and revenue, then so will its suppliers. And if the suppliers see a drop in revenue, then so will the raw industries that work with the suppliers. And this effect radiates to all other companies that are connected to the automotive industry. And what else happens when a company sees a drop in sales or revenue? Well, we tend to see things like layoffs or even bankruptcies. And those things lead to a higher unemployment rate, which would lead to less purchases being made by consumers, which would lead to less sales being made by businesses. And this cycle continues until the economy hits a low point like the Great Recession or the Great Depression. Now keep in mind that this is just the automotive industry example that I'm giving. The drop in sales that I talked about will apply to virtually every other industry in the world. Except the toilet paper industry, because that's actually manufactured in a bunch of different countries around the world. Yet sales have increased for some companies like KP Tissue by almost 50% in the last few weeks. So there is no toilet paper shortage, everyone. It's just a bunch of hoarders buying 100 rolls at a time, and large retailers just can't restock the shelves fast enough. Anyways, typically from the time that we begin to see a slowdown in sales from worldwide companies, to the time where we experience massive layoffs, defaults on loans, and bankruptcies, it can be anywhere between 2 and 24 months. I mean, think about this. The Great Recession began in December of 2007, but it took until September of 2008 in order for the worst parts of the recession to begin to be felt, and it was in March of 2009 when things were at their worst. That's a period of about 15 months in order for the recession to hit rock bottom. So what I'm trying to say here is that even though we may not experience an economic downturn in the next few weeks, we will almost certainly experience some sort of negative consequences in the next 24 months. So the Great Recession might not be the best comparison for what we're going through today, because that was caused by a combination of banks, insurance companies, and investors that created massive flaws in the financial system. The most comparable economic downturn to the one that we are seeing today was probably the recession of 2001, except the one that we're going through today is on a much larger scale. You see, in 2001, there was a rapid drop in stock prices after a half-decade-long bull market. There was also a crisis that slowed down the world's economy, which was 9/11, and there was a temporary ban on air travel in many countries throughout the world. Now, these aren't the exact same as to what we're seeing today, but it is the most comparable recession in terms of causes. And in 2001, what we saw is that the effects of the recession caused an 8-month economic downturn and doubled the unemployment rate to about 6%. But again, the thing is that what we're seeing today is much more extreme than what we saw back then, because today we are seeing many more negative economic indicators. For example, today consumer debt is at a higher level than it was during the recession of even 2008, meaning that any economic downturn might cause people to miss payments on their debt and in turn create massive losses for lenders, similar to what happened in 2008. Today, stock market volatility, which is usually a sign of investors being uncertain about an incoming economic collapse, is actually at the exact same level as it was right before the 2008 recession, which was extremely high. There are also two giant industries right now in the airlines and the cruise lines that are actually on the brink of bankruptcy, and no one is really talking about this. In fact, I'm almost certain that if people aren't able to travel again in the next few weeks or couple months, then we will see at least one major airline go bankrupt or get bailed out. In fact, it might even be all of them. And what is strange is that this might be one of the only bailouts that I've 100% agreed with, because it's due to an unpredictable change in traveling laws and regulations and not due to the incompetence of the industry. In fact, if you want to know how bad airlines are getting hit right now, take WestJet for example. They're a fairly big airline with 14,000 employees, but they are expected to lay off between 20 and 50% of their flight attendants in the next few weeks if air travel does not return back to normal. There was actually an internal memo sent to the WestJet union that said, "Our airline's well-being has become grave overnight." And there's another industry titan in American Airlines that said it will be cutting down its international flights by 75%. There's also Air Canada that gets roughly 70% of their revenue from international and US flights, and those flights are either empty or just not happening right now. And because of this downturn in air travel, there have been spokespeople like Christoph Hannibal, who represents Air Transat, who have said, "We are currently assessing the impact on our operations and expect the government to help airlines and travel companies weather these extraordinary circumstances." And as I mentioned earlier, the airline industry is not the only industry getting hit right now. Of course, you probably heard about a lot of the other shutdowns, like the businesses that involve large gatherings of groups of people. These are the businesses like the NBA, NHL, MLB, MLS, concerts, comedy shows, conferences, and much more. And even though each one of these businesses is much smaller than some of the bigger industries that we've already talked about, having all of these industries take a hit at the same time will begin to add up in ways that you don't think about. I mean, for example, have you thought about the economic impact of shutting down the NBA? You might think that the only people who will get hurt are the players, the owners, maybe the broadcasters, but that isn't true. Because the people that will be most affected are the arena workers who are expecting to have a stable weekly paycheck, but all of a sudden have no source of income. Now, luckily, many NBA players and owners have offered to give some help to the arena workers by funding them until the NBA comes back. But the point here is that every single shutdown of a business will likely have an economic impact that most people aren't thinking of. And yes, there's even different kinds of companies that don't draw in large or dense crowds that are still shutting down for several weeks at a time. The best two examples are Nike and Apple, who have shut down all of their stores in hopes to stop the spread of the virus throughout the world. And even though these are big companies that will be able to get through the shutdown while still being able to pay all of its workers, there are still many businesses who are shutting down temporarily or who are limiting store hours who will be unable to pay their hourly workers their expected wage. And what about the stores and small businesses that do keep their doors open during this time? Well, this early data is pretty terrifying. Let's take the restaurant business, for example. So there are apps like Resy and OpenTable which are used to book tables at restaurants, and they're reporting that covers are down between 30 and 65% in areas like New York and Washington. And this one really hurts me personally because picture all of the mom and pop local restaurants and businesses that are just being able to get by and pay the bills, and all of a sudden this disease outbreak happens and they might go out of business because everyone is staying at home. So all of these points represent the case for an incoming recession. And there's a ton of other points that are tough to quantify, such as businesses losing productivity by having people work from home. There was a sharp drop in oil prices recently too. And there's a ton of other economic indicators that signal a really bad economy coming in the future. But this does not mean that a horrible recession is for sure coming. You see, there are ways to at least mitigate some of the short-term consequences of a recession. For example, one action that several countries have done, like Canada and the United States, is that they have set up a loan program where small business owners are able to take out interest-free loans in hopes to prevent their businesses from shutting down during the next 6 to 12 months. Another thing is, as mentioned earlier, using taxpayer money to help bail out core infrastructure companies such as airlines might help prevent large companies from going bankrupt. Now, I'm not saying to bail out every single large company, but core infrastructure ones, there's a good debate for actually doing that. Another tactic, for whatever reason that no one has mentioned so far, is the Federal Reserve is lending out $1.5 trillion. Yes, that was a trillion with a T. They're lending this money up to Wall Street and the big banks. Now, there is a complex reasoning behind this called the repo market, and that would take an entire video to explain properly, but here's a quick overview. The United States banks have taken out $1.5 trillion worth of loans in order to help get them through tough economic times where treasuries are less liquid. It's essentially a loan to help stabilize the market. Now, if the market does stabilize with this injection, that's a good thing, so the banks and market might not collapse. But if the market does not stabilize with this injection, all of a sudden, you will see a giant collapse on Wall Street, which was what happened in 2008. And if that didn't worry you enough, this method of lending to banks is kind of viewed as the last resort to help stabilize a market and prevent a collapse. Now lastly, another thing that is done virtually every time there's an economic slowdown is a reduction in interest rates. This is a very simple way to make debt cheaper in hopes of promoting spending that will kickstart the economy. And typically what you see is that when times are going to be good, interest rates go up. And when times are going to be bad, interest rates go down. Now initially when I recorded this video, I talked about how the Federal Reserve just did an emergency rate cut down to 1.25%. But in the last few minutes, they just did another emergency rate cut down to essentially 0%. That is something that you only saw during the deepest parts of the 2008 recession. And so when I initially recorded this, I was going to say that they didn't want to lower it down to 0% because they wanted to have one more bullet in the chamber to potentially help out the economy when things start to get really bad. But now they just used that last bullet unless they want to go to negative interest rates, which I don't know if they do. But wow, I can't believe that happened while recording this video. And even though these measures might help prevent some companies from going out of business or having to do mass layoffs, the one thing that can't be prevented is the slowdown of the economy that we have already experienced in the last few weeks. And this will likely continue for the foreseeable future. You see, governmental action can only get you so far during a recession. At the end of the day, the only real way that we can prevent or minimize this recession is to have life return, well, back to normal for the average person. But that might not happen for quite a while. So buckle up, be prepared, because we might be in for a tough one.
And that's facts, man. Hey, and to all these false prophets and fake camps, if this ain't Jacob's trouble, then what do you call it, man? If this ain't Jacob's trouble, then what do you call it? I gotta run this back again.
This is not just an economic collapse. This is a societal collapse. Are you ready for a cashless society and world communism? The purge about to play out in reality. Food shortages will happen when people run out of money. Also, the banking system is wobbling on the verge of collapse. When that happens, credit lines will freeze up, and what is left of the economy will come to a screeching stop everywhere. We are only 9 meals away from anarchy. As extreme wealth inequality has left households unprepared and without a cash buffer to weather the economic downturn. The banks are failing. Don't pay attention to that, look at this virus. And with the Fed and IMF buying all the MBS, who do you think will own all the real estate? 3% of all American restaurants have closed permanently so far. Promised relief failed to materialize in time, while hedge funds got bailed out right away. It's all by design. The shift from cash to digital fiat cashless societies is upon us. Most will be forced to shop online as the outside world becomes deadly. What we are witnessing is the globalist attempt at controlling the world with fear.
And you know what's the difference between 2/3 of Israel and the hopefully elect, the 1/3? Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of power, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. So, what does the elect, the hopefully elect, have that 2/3 don't? Faith, hope, trust in Yahweh, Bahashim Habashah, which is what our wells of salvation, man. Okay? Those are our wells of salvation. This is Psalms 33, and I've been bringing this out for the last 2 weeks, man. Psalms 33 and 18 reads, Behold, the eyes of the Lord Yahweh is upon them that fear him, upon them that hope in his mercy. Because this is all about the mercy of Yahweh, Bashim Abishai. But the hopefully elect trust in the mercy of the Lord. They have faith, trust, and they hope in the mercy of Yahweh Bashim Habashai. That's the difference between the 1/3 and the 2/3. To deliver their soul from death and to keep them alive in famine. Toilet paper, food, and guns will not save you from Jacob's trouble. Our soul waited for Yahweh. He is our help and our shield. For our heart shall rejoice in him, because we have trusted in his holy name. Psalms 124:8. Our help is in the name of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua. Proverbs 18:10, right? The Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and is safe. Psalm 18:2. The Lord is our strong tower, man. Let thy mercy, O Yahweh, be upon us according as we hope in thee. Hey, this is where we at, man. This is where we at, man. Same precepts over and over like a broken record. Jeremiah 17:7. Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord Yahweh, and whose hope the Lord is. The elect, the hopeful elect, the 1/3, they trust in the Heavenly Father, man. Psalms 32 in verse 6, it reads, For this shall every one that is godly pray unto thee in a time when thou mayest be found. Surely in the floods of great waters, they shall not come nigh unto thee. Unto who? The elect of Israel. Thou art my hiding place, Psalms 91, which I'm going to get. Thou shalt preserve me from trouble. What trouble? Jacob's trouble. If this is not Jacob's trouble, then what do you call it? Thou shalt compass me about with songs of deliverance. This is Psalms 91 and verse 1. And we're in the time of faith, hope, and trust, man. Psalms 91 and 1. And it's always been this way with the hopeful elect, with the elect. It's always been this way. Psalms 91 and 1. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord Yahweh, He is my refuge and my fortress, my power. In Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence, which is them intercontinental ballistic missiles. Okay? And you got these pestilences playing out. But the main one is the intercontinental ballistic missiles. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings thou shalt trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that fly by day. What's the arrow? The missiles. Nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness. Hey, and like I always say, man, you can look at these coronaviruses, AIDS, syphilis, gonorrhea, herpes, all these tuberculosis, diabetes, cancer. These are all pestilences that walketh in darkness, man. It say, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday, which is ultimately the intercontinental ballistic missiles. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee, which is I just read in Psalms 32. Okay, it shall not come nigh thee. To who? The elect of Israel. Only with thine eyes shall thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Because thou hast made the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwellings. For he shall give his angel charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. You see? You see that? The elect, the hopeful elect, they trust in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. That's a separation between 1/3 and 2/3, man. This is Psalms 34 and 9. It reads, "Oh, fear the Lord Yahweh, ye his saints, for there is no want to them that fear him." Let's read this, Psalm 34:7. "The angel of the Lord Yahweh encampeth round about them that fear him, and deliver them. O taste and see that the Lord Yahweh is good. Blessed is the man that trusteth in him. O fear the Lord Yahweh, ye his saints." Who are the saints of the Lord? You Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indian, and Haitians. "O fear the Lord Yahweh, ye his saints, for there is no want to them that fear him." No want, man. This is Psalm 71:5. It reads, "For thou art my hope, O Yahweh power. Thou art my trust from my youth." Hey, and the only one that can have trust in the Heavenly Father Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai from their youth is the predestined ones, man. First and foremost, the elect. And then to the rest of the 1/3, man. You see, it say, "For thou art my hope, O Yahweh power, thou art my trust from my youth." This is another one in Psalms 103. And this is what we do all day, every day, man. That's why the Lord say, "You shall be comforted," man. Psalm 103:5. Let's read verse 2. "Bless the Lord Yahweh, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits." You see, which one of my favorite scriptures? One of them is Psalm 68:19, man. Blessed be the Lord Yahweh, who daily load us with benefits. Bless the Lord, Psalm 103:2. "Bless the Lord Yahweh, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits." Because the Lord feeds you. The Lord clothe you, man. Okay? The Lord is sheltering you. You don't even know it. "Who forgiveth all thy iniquities," sin on top of sin, "who healeth all thy diseases." What does scripture say, man? The wicked are physicians of no value, man. Okay? They are forges of lies. They are physicians of no value. They can't heal you, man. Bless the Lord Yahweh, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgiveth all of thy iniquities, who healeth all of thy diseases. If you need healing on every level, you got to get it from who? Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai. This is Matthew chapter 9 and 12. It reads, "But when Yahweh Shai heard that, he said to them, They that be whole need not a physician, but they that are sick." Hey, and we sick, man. Okay? We repented, converted, and was healed. Lord's willing, that our sin may be blotted out, man. But when Yahushua heard that, he said to them, "They that be whole need not a physician, but they that are sick." And we sick, man. The elect, the Israelites, the hopefully elect, we need salvation, man. We need saving. We need to be redeemed, man. Because we are sick, man. Okay, like I tell you when it was that Lamentation 4:17, we had looked for a nation that cannot save us, man. Okay? We can't be saved but by the Heavenly Father Yahweh. So back in Psalm 103, our physician is Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Hey, these devils can help you with your symptom. That's why they give you pills. But they don't cure your disease, man. They just help you with the symptom. Let's read it again. Psalms 103:2. Bless the Lord Yahweh, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgiveth all thy iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases, who redeemeth thy life from destruction, who crowneth thee with loving kindness and tender mercies. Hey, this is the mercy of the Heavenly Father Yahweh, man. who satisfieth thy mouth with good things, so that thy youth is renewed like the eagles. Hey, it tell you in Psalm 40 and 31, hey, we shall mount up with wings as eagles, man, to hopefully let the elect. Okay? Who satisfied thy mouth with good things, so that thy youth is renewed like the eagles, man. Renewed being what, man? We're going to go back into our original habitation, man. Okay? As kings, as gods with a little g, man. Rulers of the earth under Yahweh, man. That's being renewed, man. Refresh, kainos, man. The Lord executed righteousness and judgment for all that are oppressed. Who's oppressed? You, Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. You, West Indian and Haitians, are oppressed, man. He made known his ways unto Moses, his acts unto the children of Yasharallah, man. Okay? You princes of the power, man. You Negro, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indian and Haitians. The Lord Yahweh is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and plenteous in mercy. And it's only for you, man. This is Psalms 146 and 5. And it's beautiful, man. And this is our hope all day, every day. Psalm 146 and 5. Happy is he that have the power of Jacob for his help, whose hope is in the Lord Yahweh, his power, man. Happy is he that have power of Jacob, man. The heathen nations don't have this, man. They don't have the Most High Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, man. It say, happy is he that hath the power of Jacob for his help, whose hope is in the Lord Yahweh, his power, man. Which executed judgment for the oppressed, which giveth food to the hungry. The Lord Yahweh looseneth the prisoners. Come on, man. Hey, you can't make this up, man. You can't make this up, man. So while you're sitting out there thinking that your bunkers, your FRNs, your gold, your silver, your guns, your tissue, your food is going to save you, you have sadly been mistaken, man. You have been misguided. Thus saith the Lord. This is Proverbs 23 and 18. And it reads, for surely there is an end, and thine expectation shall not be cut off. There's an end, man. There's an end, man. For surely there is an end. What? Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, man. Okay? 2 Ezra 6 and 9, man. Proverbs 23 and 18. For surely there is an end of what? This rulership. And thine expectation shall not be cut off. The elect would not be cut off. And then the whole nation, man. Okay, because 2/3 going to come back, man, in their right mind, in the kingdom, which will be here on earth, man. The kingdom ain't going to be floating somewhere in the air, man. For surely there is an end, and thine expectation shall not be cut off. Let's read the end. 2 Ezra, chapter 6, and verse 9. It reads, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, man. Okay? This is Romans chapter 8. In verse 24. For we are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man seeth, why do he yet hope for? For we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it, man. That's why Hebrews 11:1 said this, Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hey, that's why the Lord say, be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. You know what he said? His people, Negro, Latino, Native American, West Indian, Haitian, they require a sign from the Lord, man. But there is no sign. Hey, and the elect, the hopeful elect, don't need no sign because they already know. They know. Why? Because we have the comforter, man, to comfort us. Romans 15:4. Let's read that. Romans 15:4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So the hopeful elect, the elect already know, man. Leading to this right here. Ecclesiastes chapter 2 and verse 10. Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, and was confounded? No. Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? No. Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? No one, man. Not one of our forefathers, man. Our righteous forefathers, man, called on the Lord and they was confounded, man. Not one. Everybody, listen, man. That's why it's a separation. That's why it's a different mindset between the 1/3 and the 2/3, man. It's a different mindset, man. This is Psalms 71 and verse 12. And it's beautiful, man. We in beautiful times, man. But you think the rest of the outside of Israel see this as a beautiful time? No, man. They looking for some other means, man, of making it. Psalm 71 and 12. O power, be not far from me. O my power, make haste for my help. Let them be confounded and consumed that are adversaries to my soul. Let them be covered with reproach and dishonor that seek my hurt. But I will hope continually and will yet praise thee more and more. My mouth shall show forth thy righteousness and thy salvation all the day, for I know not the numbers thereof. Hey, that's why he said what? In Isaiah 62 and 6, man. Let's read this. I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, keep not silent, and give him no rest till he establish and till he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. So going back to Psalms 71 in verse 14, but I will hope continually and will yet praise thee more and more. Give him no rest until he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth, man. My mouth shall show forth thy righteousness and thy salvation all the day, for I know not the numbers thereof. We don't know the number of the Lord, man. Okay, we don't know when he coming, man. So we got to do what? Diligently do the work. Stay prayed up. Continually pray. Continually, man. Keep your faith, hope, and stay diligent in his truth, man. This is Proverbs chapter 8 and verse 17. It reads, I love them that love me, and those that seek me early shall find me. And that's plain, man. That's plain. This is verse 34. Blessed is the man that heareth me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the post of my doors. For whoso findeth me find life, and shall obtain favor of the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah. It don't get no better than that, man. Okay? Hey, hiding in your bunkers, getting guns and food and tissue, your gold and silver, your bitcoins will not save you, man. If you're not coming under the order of Yahweh Shema Shah in righteousness and sincereness and humbleness, you will be destroyed, man.
America is gone, and a new tyrannical system has replaced it.
And that's facts. And what is that? The RFID microchip, which is the mark of the beast, man.
Too bad most Americans are too ignorant to know it. This was a
Why? Because they got Stockholm syndrome. They have a mental illness, a disease. Okay? They trust in oppression. And they also have normative bias syndrome.
perfect cover to prepare for martial law style shutdowns across the country. People, as they sit in quarantine, as they lose their jobs, their homes, their pensions, their businesses, and all this, I think they're waking up at the fact that they're being screwed.
And is this not happening? If this ain't Jacob's trouble, then what do you call it, man? If this ain't Jacob's trouble, what do you call it?
This has been what these assholes have been stalling for all along with these BS checks. Trying to stretch people to their absolute limits. We are already there, shit will hit the fan next weekend guaranteed. I bet a whole bunch of people disappear with the virus this week. At this point, what conclusion can you draw? Who in their right minds thought we could go over a month with no income? They are trying to incite the riots and looting. The average person is getting screwed, no other way to put it. Gun sales already hit their highest in history. If the virus doesn't get you, the economic unrest it has caused will. Wait until metro areas melt down, and it's a war zone. Gunshot victims will quickly outnumber C-19 deaths. Get the hell out now if you can. We can't expect the government to fix this.
Hey, the Lord says spiritually flee this place, man. Okay? Spiritually flee this place. Because this is not our rest. Our rest will be when we get to the kingdom. Either on the first resurrection or on the second one. We will not get rest until we get to the kingdom.
At some point, people got to go back to work. The longer we are at a standstill, the worse things are gonna be going forward. Businesses are closing for good, people are squeezed, and a lot of useless people have been taught they should live like a doctor or lawyer with none of the work. There is a tipping point, and if we reach it, parts of this country will turn into Vietnam, I believe. There are a lot of militias out there. 2/3 of the country is not prepared for this. We are a few weeks out before marauders start going door to door looking for food. America made a huge mistake in rewarding people for doing nothing, feeding their kids, and teaching them to expect the government to take care of them. Wall Street hogs also feed at the dumbed-down public ed trough. They skim off all that criminalized bond money used to construct and maintain multi-million-dollar, Taj Mahal-style admin buildings, sports complexes, and prison-like classrooms. The masses should prepare for worst-case scenarios and not just a recession.
Hey, so Lord willing, gotta give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh. But Lord willing is edifying. Salaki, Lord willing edifying. Gotta give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh. Bahashem Yahweh Shah. Bahashem Rikak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, rule well, who teach well. And a sincere salutation to all the Akim, pushing this truth and believing this truth. To the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. And shalom to the Akwaf who are listening and learning, the few sisters who are listening and learning. Lord willing, edifying till next time I say shalom.